Guys, and Taste Trophy Kids, we got an awesome show for you. We're talking about the Cowboys signing Andy Dalton. We're reviewing the Last Dance last two episodes, and we were talking about UFC 229 and giving a breakdown of what we think is going to happen. It's a good one, so let's go.
And welcome to Trophy Kids, presented by Bad News Media. It is May the 6th, and oh, am I excited for this one. Sports are in the air. We have some things to talk about. The UFC is coming back this weekend, which we will definitely get into later with a little breakdown and preview of it. But first, we have some news that's actually sort of sending shockwaves to the NFL. I won't say it's the biggest free agency news because I would say Tom Brady, Gronk signing was definitely the biggest. But it's definitely something that on a week like this week where there's kind of a lull and stuff, definitely giving us plenty to talk about. That is Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, leaving Cincinnati, getting released, getting a couple offers, and deciding that he is headed back home, coming home to Texas, wearing the star. You have to see him well, you might not have to see him twice a year, but you play the team twice a year.
Same. Carry a clipboard around, yeah.
Yeah. How you feeling about this one? Because there are some takes out there on this.
There are some takes out there. Some people are like, he's going to take over, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I fully believe that. He got himself a very good contract as a backup. I mean, I know Jameis claims he went for Sean Payton and Drew Brees to New Orleans, which he probably did. But looking at that, it's like, damn, like you could have got good money. So Andy Dalton got good money, but it's like it seemed like it was just kind of an attempted flex move on Dak by Jerry, and I don't think I don't think Dak's too worried, honestly.
I would agree. I think there were a couple things that struck me. I'm going to go in chronological order. First, I thought it was it shows the level, one, of incompetence on the Bengals' part, and two, sort of the shittiness. Like, they want to come off like they're heroes in this. Like, oh, we cut him so he can go out. Yeah. Well, you cut him after the free agency run-up on, like, quarterbacks. Like, cut him earlier. Like, you didn't get any trade value out of him. You got zero value, period, which is like the incompetency part. Yeah, his contract was hefty if they kept him. I think it was like $17 million. But it's like you got zero trade value out of him. I'm sure somebody would have given him like a seventh round, a sixth round, something. Yes. And even if nobody is going to trade for him, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a global pandemic going on, Bengals. It might be useful to give Joe Burrow a buffer, given you guys are not exactly got a loaded roster, to maybe give him a buffer, because it's going to be, I would assume, training camp is going to be a little dysfunctional. There's not going to be as much prep before the season if we have one. A little bit of a buffer, and then if a quarterback goes down, you get some value there, whatever. They cut him late. I'm assuming, got some offers. Like Andy Dalton, I've been an Andy Dalton fan. I think he, at his best, is a very good quarterback that is not your problem, like your biggest problem. At worst, you want to maybe upgrade your team. Like, he is what you surround him with. If you surround him with talent, he's going to be okay. If you don't surround him by talent, he's going to be all right. Like, he's not going to be the worst product on the field. He's not going to be your biggest problem, but you're going to want to probably upgrade the position at some point, because you're going to be in a position like the Bengals were, where you're going to be in a position to get a big upgrade, potentially.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan. I thought he got a lot of shit that he didn't deserve. I saw a really interesting fact on him that it's sort of a nitpicking stat, but it was like, damn, I did not realize this. Since 2011, only 6 quarterbacks have hit the following mark: 30,000 passing yards, 200 passing TDs, and 70 wins. Brees, Dalton, Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Rodgers, and Matt Ryan. Not bad, given he's on a pretty dysfunctional team. Either way, he goes down there. For the Cowboys, this is an awesome deal, because you now have shored up your back. I didn't really look. I probably should have in preparation, like who the backups are around the league. But I'd have to say he's probably the best backup. Like, if something happens to Dak, if he decides to hold out, which we can get to in a moment with his contract, if he gets hurt, God forbid, or whatever, like, you have a guy that can step in and be okay, because you have a good offensive line, not as great as it once was, but very good, competent offensive line, good running back, and a good wide receiving core. Like, he's going to be just fine. But this idea that he's somehow going to beat Dak out and potentially be starting, I think is ludicrous, unless Dak decides, I want to hold out. Because it is a big kind of like, well, now we got a guy that if you decide to do whatever, like, we can stay firm in our contract that we offered you and be just okay if you decide to hold out, because we're not in a position to sweat it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like you said, I think he's easily one of the best, if not the best backup. I mean, the only argument I can come up with right now would be Jameis. And I mean, when Jameis is on, he probably is better, but
well, now that
Andy
he has
Dalton,
depth perception, he might be better because
yeah,
apparently he was
not,
playing the last 5 years with no depth perception. Couldn't read a license plate.
Now that he can see, apparently, he could be really good. But yeah, I think Andy Dalton. I mean, I think Andy Dalton does get a lot of shit that he doesn't deserve. I think honestly, the Cincinnati Bengals in general get a lot of shit they don't deserve. They have had some very good seasons in the past decade in general. I know they don't win in the playoffs, and Andy Dalton has never won a game in the playoffs, but he's led multiple teams to the playoffs. I think he's better than. I think he's better than a handful of starters. Like I don't know anything about Stidham in New England, but I think Andy Dalton would be fine in New England. I think if Tom never went to Tampa, I think Andy Dalton could have been fine in Tampa.
Fuck yeah. I would have been happy. I wanted him at one point because I was like, I didn't think we were going to get Tom. I was like, let's make a move for Dalton. Like, we're not keeping Jameis. Like, let's make a move.
Yeah, I think Dalton's a fine player. And like you said, if Dak does go down or if some reason he holds out, but say he goes down for 3 games, I mean, if Dallas is playing, unless they're playing, like San Francisco, Seattle, like then LA or something, Andy Dalton going to win 2 games, 2 out of 3, maybe even all 3. I mean, if they're playing like the Skins, the Giants, and the Lions, I mean, I think Andy Dalton as a backup is very serviceable. I know Dak doesn't really get injured a lot, but I mean, you never know. It's the NFL; it can always happen. And he's a kind of player that, with the talent, like you said, that Dallas has, that if they're making a playoff run, Andy Dalton can go in and we've seen backup quarterbacks come in playoff time and thrive. I don't see why Andy Dalton couldn't.
I don't either. I've always thought I can go down the list and easily pick off Gardner Minshew. He's better than Jarrett Stidham. He's definitely probably better than. Like you can go down the list, and Andy Dalton is still. He's never been the greatest guy, but he's also he's never been the team's biggest problem either. Like I don't think. He got a lot of shit in Cincinnati. Since I've been in Cincinnati, I've been here a while. He has gotten a lot of unnecessary shit. Yeah, he never won a playoff game. But they had a small window, and it was unfortunate. There was that game where you had the perfect hit, and then the second fight. Like, that window was their window to really go for it. That team was so fucking good.
Yes, they were.
And Joey Porter not getting a flag. And then the year he broke his finger was the other year. If he hadn't broken his finger, there isn't a doubt in my mind that they wouldn't have made a push for the Super Bowl that year because A.J. McCarron was just missing the easiest fucking reads. To no fault to his own, because he was thrown to the Lions and just didn't – like, the game was just too fast and you could tell. Like, it was way too fast. And they would have won that game too. So there was a window, and windows close short in the NFL. If you're a Cowboys fan, this is awesome. You get a quarterback at $7 million for a year, $3 million it's guaranteed, I believe, which – unfortunately, though, gives Cowboys a little bit more leverage because they can stay firm in their contract negotiations with Dak, which they've apparently offered him like 33 plus a year, I think. I don't know how much.
Apparently, the money per year is agreed upon. It's the length of the contract. Dak wants 4 years. Dallas wants to hold him for 5.
Yeah. So. And I don't know what the guaranteed looks like either. Like how much of it will be guaranteed versus how much will be incentive bonus. And there is that question of like what I think Andy Dalton, like Dak is definitely more talented. That is, I don't think, questionable necessarily. Like, he has more arm talent.
I agree, but I think we're also maybe in our the conversation kind of overrating Dak a little bit.
I was just going to get to that point because what I was hearing, I think it's closer than people think.
Yeah, like, it might be.
Because I was thinking about it, like, I think arm talent wise, because Andy struggles with the deep ball and accuracy with the deep ball, but outside of that, I don't know, man. I think if you put Dalton on that team last year or 2 years ago, they make the playoffs. Like, there's too many. Dak hasn't succeeded with a great offensive line at one point in his career. It's good now still. It's a very good offensive line. It's not maybe the best, but it's good. One of the best running backs in the league. Amari Cooper, who is good. You've got now CeeDee Lamb, so we'll see how that fits in. Galloway down there too, or Callaway. Yeah, I don't think Andy Dalton's the starter, but I think if Dak doesn't play well, there's a chance Andy might get a shot because he's not that far off, I don't think. I don't know how you feel, but I don't think he's that far off.
I think it kind of depends because I don't think I don't think Dallas wants to lose Dak. And say they go into this year and he plays under the franchise tag. If you sit him in the middle of the year, that's almost like saying, we're done with you.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
It'd be, I know that's dumb because honestly, you should play who's playing the best. But that's just not how it works in sports, unfortunately, all the time. But so, yeah, if they did, that's almost like saying, like, we're done. You're not, they could bring him back the next game. But it'll leave a sour taste in Dak's mouth. I mean, honestly.
That's true. And Dak is definitely, because he's 26, so it's like you have a 26-year-old versus Andy Dalton. I don't know how old he is. That is on the back end of his career by far.
Right.
So it's not like you're making this guy the future of your franchise. But if the Dallas, because we say the same thing, and we should eventually start questioning it, like, Dallas is such a talented team. Dallas is such a talented team. I get Jason Garrett isn't the best coach, but if they're as talented as we keep saying they are, how do you not be better in that division? What? Yeah.
We'll just keep going 8-8.
Like, how do you keep doing that? So I think at some point we need to question, like, the talent level. And I think if they're like, you know what, we're really talented, and for whatever reason we're not winning games with Dak, say, fuck it, let's go all in a weak division right now and try to do something. Jerry's crazy enough to do it. That's the point I guess I'm trying to make. Is Jerry is so out there that I don't want to write off that Andy Dalton. We're not going to see Andy Dalton start this year.
Oh, I wouldn't write it off.
I don't think it's the right move necessarily for the health of your franchise and the health of your quarterback that you're trying to make the face of your franchise in Dak.
Right.
But I think that the fact that he went out and signed him, which is a phenomenal football move on the Dallas Cowboys standpoint. Like, this is a good quality sign. Like, it makes 1,000% sense to shore up your quarterback room. Yeah. Anything, even if he doesn't play, he's going to be an asset in teaching Dak, in being a professional. Because another thing that I think I haven't mentioned yet, but like, Andy Dalton is one of the classiest human beings in the planet. Like, he is the model of what you want off the field in a quarterback. Like, there's a story, I think it was Boyd took a pretty like vicious hit, and he came out of the game, and Andy, because he knew he was banged up, it was like Boyd's, I think, rookie year or whatever. I think it was Boyd. I'm not 100% sure who the receiver was. But he gave him his first class seat and went to the very back of the plane to just sit there. He's always doing stuff in the community. Like, he's been a professional on and off the field and a fantastic human being. So, like, that's a good example for a young quarterback. Not to say Dak isn't a good human being or doesn't do good things off the field, but it's just it's a leadership thing that he's going to be able to pry off of. So it's a phenomenal move. But I'm not overly worried about Dak's positioning or standing with the Cowboys. But it does give the Cowboys some leverage in negotiation, because now you have a guy that you can go, all right, if you hold out, that's fine. Like, we're not going to sweat it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I mean, it's a great move for them. It's not going to – we're talking about it because we need sports stories.
Yeah, so bad.
That's really why they're like, oh, look what could happen here.
Oh, my God. I made the mistake of turning on, like, Get Up and First Take, and they were still talking about it today. We do a show once a week, so it's fine for us to talk about it, but it's Tuesday and they're still talking about it. Like, that was a Monday. Yeah. That was a Monday topic, the first topic of the week, and then you should create something else.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, yeah, it's a great move for Dallas, but it does not, affect Dak's status on the team, in my opinion.
No. One other move that happened before we move on. The Bears declined Mitch Trubisky's fifth offer, which fifth-year extension.
Yeah.
Which is, some people are like, oh, shit. I mean, how did you not see this coming? Because if he gets hurt in the back end of that season, you owe him a lot of money the following year.
Yeah.
And right now, he is playing nowhere close to the level of risk-reward that makes sense for that. They signed Nick Foles. This is another story where it's being bigger because we have no sports to talk about as much until this weekend. Mm-hmm. But it makes a lot of sense for both parties. And Mitch Trubisky, if he goes out and he balls, he now has a ton of leverage because they don't have dibs on him, essentially. And he could say, fuck it, I'm going to go test the free market, or I'll re-sign with you, but you're going to pay me.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't perform, then he's kind of shit out of luck from a money standpoint. And the Bears, though, are good. They have nothing. They can walk away with a clean conscience. Yeah, they fucked up the pick, but like, you'll get more picks to fuck up later down the road. So it's okay. like it was just a good, sound football move. And I think it could be the thing that maybe like Mitch Trubisky has talent.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't shown itself a whole lot, but he has it. Like there's a reason he was picked there. He's wildly inaccurate right now, but this could be the fire that like gets him going maybe. I don't know. Maybe it just clicks and it works out for both parties, but it was another really smart football decision from an organization that makes pretty good decisions overall, but has had some missteps, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some missteps, honestly. Mitchell Trubisky's entire the way they acquired him was a misstep. Let's be honest. Mitchell Trubisky, it made no sense for them to give him the 5th-year offer. So I actually remember the Skins did it with RG3, and then preseason we realized, oh shit, like we can't let this guy get hurt because he is not it. So we literally deactivated him the entire year, just making sure he didn't get hurt. And I was still scared. I was still just like, oh my God. So it's just best if you're not sure about the guy, and especially when it comes to being your quarterback, where you will owe him, way more money than, if you're doing the 5th-year extension on a running back, it's better just to let him play out his 4th year. Worst comes to worst. If Trubisky balls, in my opinion, he is 1,000% slap the franchise tag.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll go about it the way the Skins do, like slap the tag and let's not even talk about an extension. I wouldn't recommend it, but I also, if he balled out, I would be too scared to sign him. I need more than – I know he had one – his 2nd year he was kind of good, but the defense was absurd that year on this team. I would be scared to sign him if he balls out in 2020.
Yeah, I should have clarified. He can't – they could slap the franchise tag and then he wouldn't be able to test free agency. It was a good clarification on your point. I don't think I'd give him a giant deal off of that. I would franchise tag him, and then he still gets paid though. Like he gets paid off the franchise tag. Yeah. So
I mean, he'll get $30 million.
Yeah. So like it is a good deal all around, I think, and a smart thing to do. That's all I had on football though, because I do want to talk about The Last Dance. These 2 episodes, I think, were the 2 best episodes so far. I loved them because they talked about things I enjoy. The gambling side of Michael Jordan and the Dream Team Olympics, which was phenomenal television. That whole part, like from him and Magic going at it to him shit-talking Reebok and like the whole backstory there. Like both these episodes were fantastic and I think the 2 best so far.
Yeah, they were awesome. Watching Magic, talk shit to Jordan, and Jordan literally just talk shit to everybody, just like literally just make it clear, Magic, you were a legend, Larry, you were a legend too, but this is my fucking team. Like, that was so awesome. I love watching that behind the scenes. I loved watching Jordan gambling with the security guards, throwing the coin over it. That dude is just so competitive. He can't help himself. He needs to make everything a competition. He's unreal. I love seeing that behind the scenes stuff. It's so cool.
Absolutely insane. It goes back to, once again, the Roy Williams. Like, he's the only player that can turn it on and off. No, dude, he can't turn it off. He's throwing quarters at a wall to try to just, like, have something competitive going. Which, by the way, I don't think we've mentioned this. I love how Jordan just has his own fucking room. Like, do you notice that? Like, he's never in the actual locker room. He's got his own side room. Like, where he's doing –
side room where he holds all the tickets. He's the one who hands out the tickets to everybody. He has all the tickets.
Yeah, when he said, shit, I'm God, I was like, shit, maybe he is God. The way how confidently he said it, I was like, fuck, what?
It was unbelievable. Yeah, he was just like that. I think it was maybe BJ Armstrong. I don't remember who said it, but they were like, he said, I need 2 tickets. So he said, do you care where they sit? He goes, they could be sitting all the way up next to God. He goes, well, you just got tickets for God. Like, oh my God.
So awesome. He holds court in there. He's got 6 bodyguards in there. He's the only one in there just chilling before games. Like, that is awesome.
Too cool.
Yeah. And that security guard became an instant meme with the giving him the shrug after he beat him. Oh my God, what a character!
Awesome,
dude. The Olympic, I love, because we've all sort of seen some footage of that. The stories from that are always fantastic. My favorite story ever is when him and Magic are going at it, and Larry's just laughing because he doesn't care, and he's just like, "It's his league now. It's his league now." And my favorite part is, I don't know who he hates more at this point. I don't think there's a human being who hates somebody more than Michael Jordan hates Isaiah Thomas
Yeah, he doesn't like him.
or Jerry Krause. I don't know now between the two of them because literally in every chance he gets, he's just ripping on the guy. Jerry Krause had the touch of death. Like any player he liked, they were like, fuck this guy because he likes him. We're going to go kill him.
They hated Jerry Krause. They fucking hated him. And I don't really blame him. I mean, I also give him some credit because, I mean, he did put together an unbelievable team, but he also fucked it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who he hates more. That's it. He does. I mean, he hates Isaiah too. The Isaiah one's more entertaining just because Isaiah's still alive and it's clear Isaiah doesn't like him. Isaiah said he was the 4th best player he's ever played against. Like, get real. That's a joke. But yeah, I don't know. I think from like a competitive standpoint, he hates Isaiah the most. Obviously.
Oh, yeah. I think that's where I lean. I tweeted it out. Like, I don't think anybody hates somebody more than Jordan hates Isaiah Thomas. Because it's like, dude, you didn't allow him on the dream team and replaced him. And because of that, Christian Laettner made that team. And
Laettner.
Yeah, in college. He was in college, too. He made that team because Isaiah wasn't on it.
I actually noticed in the series when Jordan was talking about the team, he mentioned like 11 of the best players in the world. He didn't even like include 12 with Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner's a fine player, and he was a great college player, one of the best ever. But it's just kind of funny that Jordan did that.
I completely missed that.
Yeah.
Talking about misses, do you think anybody? I mean, worst decision ever, Adidas being like, "Nah, we can't make you a shoe." I mean, that might be the biggest miss in sports history ever.
That's a big miss. That's a big
history
big
of the world, maybe. Like, holy, the people in charge of that, like, still must not sleep. Being like, we could have had Jordan, but we couldn't make a shoe work, so he went to a startup Nike, and they just dominated the world after that.
He came to Adidas wanting them. They didn't even have to go to him.
His parents had to talk him into taking a meeting with Nike, not even signing with them, taking a meeting, like just getting in the door.
Yeah, unbelievable. Big gaffe on Adidas' part.
Yeah. The Tony Kukoc stuff was funny because it is like that. Yep. Like he had no idea what was happening. And like just the touch of death by Jerry Krause, where it's like he likes this guy, and this poor kid is just like he's in a war tour country, he's in the Olympics, just trying to be like, we're gonna compete against the dream team, and they're out there to kill the kid. But like Mike Wilbur said, he is a tough bastard. He came back in that second game and played well, and it was just
he played well.
Yeah, it's just funny seeing that type of stuff, and just once again, like Jerry Krause likes a guy Scottie Pippen and Jordan want to kill, like just end the kid's career for no reason.
They wouldn't let anyone else guard him. Jordan says pregame, no one can guard him but Scotty and I.
Oh, that was good. I also like Johnny Kong's interview where I'm sitting there. I'm such a degenerate where she's like, do you think gambling's ruining your reputation? And Jordan's like, what the fuck? Like, it is just crazy how the world used to be, where like that was a legit scandal. I mean, I get the money amount, but like whoever it was in the documentary, like that's 10 or 20 bucks to you, like 50,000 to him is like 10 or 20 bucks. And people were like legit mad about that, which is absurd.
People are mad about everything. I mean, imagine it was bad back then. Imagine if it happened today. Imagine if LeBron, after game 2, losing game 2, going down 0-2 to the Knicks, he goes to Atlantic City. Like he would get crushed today if he did that. Like eviscerated.
That one was funny because Jordan wants us to all believe that, like, because Atlantic City's not close to New York. He was just like, I was back by 12. Like, get the fuck out of here. No, you weren't.
Not a chance.
Oh, even today, he's still just lying about it. But
I know.
That was good. Though I did also like, because we got, like, it hit on all the best parts. The Olympic Dream Team, the Air Jordan deals, all that stuff. It did also get into, like, the one big controversy with him back in the political race, which I know the famous line, like, Republicans buy sneakers too. And I also know that Jordan was doing something completely different than everybody else, where he was trying to build an empire, essentially, and did pave the way for a lot of things. So, you know, a young guy not wanting to get into it, but it is sort of crazy then when you went, because I wasn't aware of this. We didn't grow up in this era. Like, I had no idea. So this is stuff I'm learning for the first time. It is kind of crazy to think like, oh, he didn't speak out against a guy who like was directly imposed to like civil rights. Part of his platform was like Martin Luther King Day shouldn't exist. Like, who the fuck is this guy? So it was interesting to touch on that. And it was like, I was thinking about it more. It is crazy that he didn't speak out in fear of like it would ruin the reputation or damage it in some way. But like today, we wouldn't even be talking about it because it's a House race in North Carolina, whatever district it's in. Like none of us would be talking about that.
Oh, no.
But because he decided not to say anything about something that was actually important, it wasn't like he's playing politics all the time. It was one race, a very like sensitive issue. Could have easily spoken up. And because he didn't and did the Republican line, it actually became exactly what he didn't want it to become. And it became like an actual controversy, which was interesting.
It did. It was interesting. Jordan's actually like, one thing I will say is he's stuck to that his entire life. He does not speak up and out very much on issues. It took a long time before he finally like came out and spoke about like police brutality, stuff like that. I mean, he's never really, he's like a superstar. I mean, he was way more in the light back then, but he really does kind of stay quiet when it comes to issues happening, when he has massive influence, but he kind of just doesn't really comment.
Which is something unique because we honestly, and it's happened forever, like with Muhammad Ali and guys before him, and LeBron James when it's convenient.
Oh, LeBron always gives him 2 cents. Yeah. LeBron will always give his opinion.
Yeah, always give his opinion unless it has to do with China.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But that's just the NBA in general for the most part.
Yeah.
It is weird though to be like this guy who controls an insane amount of power, who's on top of the world, wouldn't speak out about that, but at the same time, he kind of is. He was looking out for himself, which I guess when you're trying to build $1 billion empire like nobody's done before, that's sometimes kind of part of the equation, which is unfortunate because it is really one of the only few criticisms you have on him. But like you said, he has stuck to that line. He hasn't wavered on that at all in his entire career. I just think there was a lot better ways that it could have done. And I'm surprised even in his, like even after the comment came out, I'm surprised he didn't say something just to the effect of like, hey, I'm not choosing political sides or anything, but like I'm opposed to people who don't believe African Americans have the same rights as everybody else. Like who thinks the civil rights movement is the civil rights bill was the most dangerous piece of legislation. Like it did seem kind of crazy.
Agreed. Yeah.
But it's the position he's taken and stayed with. But without it, if he hadn't met Senate or if he had just said something brief about it, it wouldn't have been even a controversy. So it was an interesting little tidbit, but I was glad to see they threw it in there because it shows that they are really giving us everything about Michael Jordan. Because I wouldn't, if they hadn't thrown that in there, I would have no idea. Like I would honestly, I would have never known that. So it is kind of, I appreciate that they are really giving us everything about MJ, which is one of the reasons I liked these two the most is because it's just, once again, it's giving us all the good and the bad in like a scenario where he does kind of look like a dick at some points.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
But honestly, too, I don't know how he thought he was going to come off as a dick because, like, most of the time in this, I actually find him more endearing. Like, oh, yeah, this guy is everything we thought he was, only to a higher degree.
I've always thought and always heard that Michael Jordan was a dick, and he's just such a competitor that he's just a dick. He's actually been, from this documentary, I expected for him to come off like way more of an asshole than he has.
Yeah, way more. He's become way more endearing to me through this.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I'm like, wow, yeah. I mean,
like he's
I've
kind
always
of
loved
everything
him as the star, but not really. I always kind of maybe thought as a person, kind of the way I feel about Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, Michael, no, he hasn't been nearly like as much of an ass as I thought.
No, not even close. And like there are like it's been a very cool look, and I'm enjoying it. And these were my two favorite. And it's when he thought we would think he's an ass. I don't think anybody thinks that right now. I think he's become more endearing because it's like that's exactly the kind of person we all want our premier player on the sports team that we root for to be. Yeah. That's exactly how we want them.
Definitely.
All right, let's get to the last topic, the UFC this week. I am so excited. So I'm going to quickly break this down. First of all, UFC 249. This is I think the fact that the UFC is coming back first, the fact that they are able to do this is going to give them a greater foothold in American sports and global sports because they are a global company and have an outreach globally that's huge. But I do think it's going to bring in fans that typically would not watch the UFC this weekend because there's nothing else on. And I have to say, Dana White and the matchmakers over at the UFC put together a near perfect card if you are a first-time watcher, because you are going to literally see just a plethora of different styles, of different fight techniques, of just everything. And I mean, the top 3 fights on this fight card. I mean, we have Donald Cerrone and Anthony Pettis in the prelim fights. That's how good this card is. They are the prelim fights. And those two, both, whenever they're on a fight, it's a must-watch fight. They're both phenomenal fighters.
I mean, Donald wasn't in the primetime fight with McGregor like 2 UFCs ago.
Yes, and he's on the prelim. That's how great this card is. I do hate Greg Hardy being on this card. I distinctly said, and I'm going back on this, whatever. I need to watch sports. I would never buy a pay-per-view that Greg Hardy was on, just out of principle, because I hate the guy for what they even gave him a shot. But because I don't think he earned redemption. But whatever. Yeah. That's just my opinion. But I am going to buy this card. 3 fights that I'm excited about. You have Francis Ngannou versus Rosenstrike. This is a fight of just pure power. Rosenstrike is a guy. He's 6'4", 242. He's got a 78 reach. This dude not only can deliver a punch, but he can fucking eat them. If you go back and watch his last fight against Overeem, there's a punch in the second round that he takes, and Overeem literally looks at him like is shocked he didn't fall, and he doesn't even fucking move. Like, he doesn't even throw he could have easily, if he had just followed up, he may have really not, because he just dropped his kind of hands and didn't move.
Yeah.
And the other guy just takes like a pause, like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Yeah. Like, he has an insane chin and can deliver a punch, which is going to be good because Francis Ngannou is the apex of what human being physique is. This man is insane. If he had been born in America, he'd be playing on Sundays, without a doubt. He's 6'4", 255, 83. He is a freak. His uppercut is easily take your head off. Like Michael Bisping once. Yeah. Michael Bisping once said he's the Mike Tyson of the UFC, and I fully agree with that statement. He drops some fucking A-bombs and is like, this is a fight. If you want to see 2 guys just stand up and go fucking at it, this is the fight. Francis Ngannou knocked out. His knockouts are viciously insane. He has visibly gotten better fight to fight. Every fight you can legitimately, he used to be homeless a couple years ago. Like, his story is phenomenal, worth looking into. But you can visibly see every fight he's fought, him getting better, him refining his skills, huge jumps. So this is an awesome fight. If you want to see the UFC in that stereotypical version of just guys going at it, this is the fight.
Well, I think you've kind of convinced me, just for fun, to maybe just put some money on Rosenstrike because he's plus 230. I mean, just for fun, I might have to do it.
I'm going Ngannou on this. That's my pick.
Yeah.
I think Rosenstrike leaves himself to some vulnerabilities, but dude, it's going to be a good one because Rosenstrike, he could win this fight, and he has a chin of steel. It's insane. And he's a great counterpuncher. That's where he does some work in. He's a great counterpuncher. So it's going to be an awesome fight. Then you follow that up with Dominic Cruz, Henry. Oh my God, I can't pronounce his last name right now.
Cejudo?
Cejudo. There we go. Jesus. That's so bad on my part. I apologize. Henry wants to be known as the greatest combat fighter in the world, and he's very much on that pace. He's a gold medalist winner. He's the only person in the world to ever win a gold medal in wrestling and then win a UFC title. He won it at flyweight. Then he said, fuck it, I need to up the stakes, went to bantamweight, won a title there. Fighting Dominic Cruz, you can't talk about the bantamweight division without Dominic Cruz. There is nobody like Dominic Cruz. If you have never seen a Dominic Cruz fight, he's not going to wow you with power, but he is the Energizer Bunny from hell. He does not stop moving. He is like a matador in the ring. He is elusive as hell, sticks you and keeps going. All of his fights pretty much go to decision. He's only lost 1 fight, The problem is he hasn't fought since 2016, which makes me nervous.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
But he's got a 4-inch height advantage. He's got, I think, a 4-inch reach advantage. He is extremely good. His technique is phenomenal. His footwork is phenomenal. He's elusive as hell. It is poetry in motion with him. There is no other fighter that does it like him. TJ Dillashaw sort of has it, but it is something completely unique in style. He is a jittery man. That's going to be an awesome fight. I lean a little bit towards Dominic Cruz in that one. That is one, though, flip a coin, bet whatever you hit on the heads or tails, because that one's going the distance, I think. But Dominic Cruz, he is special, and he hasn't fought in a while. He is a fun fight to watch. And then they finish it up with just the cherry on top, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. I know. I am pissed we're not getting Tony Ferguson Khabib right now. Yeah. And it is a huge risk that he took this fight because Justin Gaethje is no slouch. But if you've never had the pleasure of watching a Tony Ferguson fight, for all fans that are new to the he's a savage. I mean, he does things in the cage. He is what is it? Control and chaos. It is, his movements are unpredictable. He makes you incredibly uncomfortable with the way he fights, to be honest. He's throwing things that you will never see any other fighter throw. He's incredibly creative. He gets stronger as the fight goes on. He likes to fight hurt, honestly. I, honest to God, believe he enjoys it. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. Some of his prior opponents are yeah, I don't think Tony Ferguson really starts to get going until you, cut him up. He is a monster. And so is Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is another guy that is let's go to war. He is the epitome of it's not how big the dog is, it's how big the fight in the dog is. That man just wants to go at it. He can drop bombs. The whole fight card is phenomenal. That fight, though, is beautiful. It's not Khabib, Tony Ferguson. Don't get me wrong. It is not that. And that fight would be way better. But it is the perfect replacement for that fight. And if Tony Ferguson gets through this, then I think we're going to get Khabib, Tony, because I don't know how they don't make that fight happen after Ramadan.
I just remember when Tony fought Anthony Pettis. It was the bloodiest fight I've ever seen in my life. I was like, are they going to die?
That is what you're going to get. That, I think, is a very good point to bring up. Fair warning to all you new UFC fans. Expect to see blood in that fight. There will be blood. That is going to happen. That Anthony Pettis-Tony Ferguson fight. Whew, man.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It was bad. That was bad. Dude, that was the Rosenstrike. Rosenstrike won. There's a fight right now. His last fight I was talking about is on ESPN right now. He won in the final 10 seconds by knockout, split the dude's lip in a way that I have not seen. It was just open in a flap. It was so bad. Yeah, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be pure. And then you got Greg Hardy on the card, who, while I don't like the guy, and he's not a very skilled fighter. Anytime he fights somebody who's really skilled, he gets overmatched, but there's a lot of power on this card. There's enough power on this card to fucking fuel New York City right now. It's insane. This is a phenomenal card that you are going to see some phenomenal fights. I cannot wait. I would say too,
will be nice.
Yeah, my bets, I think I'm going Francis Ngannou, but if you bet Rosenstrike, it's not a bad bet. Anything can happen, especially in those two fights, or those two fighters. I think I'm going Cruz, but it's literally I'm 50.5% convinced he's going to win, 49.5% convinced he's going to lose. Flip a coin, go with that. And then I think I lean Tony Ferguson because he is, like you said, he's crazy. He's absolutely crazy in the cage. There's nothing like Dominic Cruz. There's nothing like Tony Ferguson with what he does.
Yeah.
He is a unique savage among other savages.
Yes, he is.
It's incredible. He's an absolute animal. Did you have anything you wanted to go with on that?
No, you covered it way better than I would have.
All right. Well, it's going to be a great one. Definitely buy in. I'm going to wrap this up with a fun little fact that I learned this week. Going back to football. This blew my mind. I could not believe this. Did you know that Tim Tebow is the only quarterback the Denver Broncos have drafted and won a playoff game?
That is bizarre.
No QB the Denver Broncos, Jesus, Cowboys, the Denver Broncos have drafted has won a playoff game.
Interesting.
Because they didn't draft Elway. They traded for him.
Right. Yeah.
And then no other quarterback. According to ESPN, they tweeted it out. has won a playoff game.
That's crazy. No, never knew that. Of course. No, had no idea.
Insane. I don't know how impressed. Like, if I'm more impressed by the functionality of the Broncos organization to never have drafted a quarterback that won a playoff game, or just incredibly impressed that like statistically has happened. Because what is the chances of that?
I mean, it's a relatively successful franchise. Yeah, that's bizarre.
Like, this isn't like some joke franchise. This isn't Browns. Like, if it were the Browns, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, this is a successful franchise. Like, this is one of the well-run organizations in the NFL, and they've never hit on a quarterback.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's bizarre. They
Insane.
Just acquire talented quarterbacks.
It blew my mind. I was like,
that is crazy. Yeah. I mean, Jay Cutler never won one there.
No. And
Elway
was traded for. Like, he wasn't drafted by them.
That's bizarre.
I have a feeling Drew Luck will probably break that because that offense is super young.
I'm kind of a Drew Luck guy. Drew Luck's cool.
I am too. As soon as all I knew him was his fiasco with Texas and Tom Herman mocking him. And then when I saw him singing a
Young Jeezy.
Young Jeezy. I almost said G-Eazy. Young Jeezy. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm in.
Yeah,
let's roll.
He's hilarious. He's the man.
He's fucking fantastic. And they've got a super young offense.
Yes.
And they got some guys.
I'm high on them this year.
Yeah. It sucks that they're in the best division in football, but iron sharpens iron. So, hey, it could work out. They've got a bright future. But, all right. That'll wrap it up unless you have anything else here.
Just one quick thing I just kind of saw that it kind of opened my eyes. I kind of think Carson Wentz might retire soon.
Really?
He had a quote. This is like the first time he's talked since the playoff loss. He said, I can confirm I had a concussion. I was dealing with symptoms. It was some scary stuff. You only get one of these brains and you have to protect it.
And he just had a kid too.
Yeah, and I was just I was thinking maybe you could pull. I mean, I'm not saying this year. But maybe you could pull like an Andrew Luck, and maybe the Eagles kind of know, and maybe that's why they got Jalen Hurts.
That would be some. Yeah, I mean, that would
just
make
a little
whole
conspiracy.
sense.
I just saw that quote. I was like, wow, that kind of sounds like someone who's like kind of recognizes your brain gets effed up in this sport.
Fuck yeah, and his body too. Like he's always injured.
Yeah.
Like
he's had back injuries. Yeah.
Yeah, that could easily be an Andrew Luck thing where it's like, hey, I've got money. Like, I've made money. I'm financially going to be fine. And he just had a kid, which I don't know if that's his first. But I know he just
young. I mean, it might be.
Yeah, I would assume it is. But he is like a super religious guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has like one earlier.
That's true.
But it's probably his first. That puts things into perspective. He's constantly hurt. Yeah, I mean –
it's just an interesting quote.
Yeah, something to put in the tickler file. I mean, that could be coming back around. Or maybe that's one of those things where he told the Eagles, like, hey, lighten up my workload. And that's why they went and got a Jalen Hurts to maybe run more of like a Saints offense, but have him more involved than Tyson Hill's involved.
Right.
So,
yeah, just interesting.
Interesting. All right. I like that. It's a good way to end. We'll wrap it up on that. Throw it in the tickler file. We'll see what plays with it. As always, that'll do it with us. Peace.
Later.